Hey guys, John Rivera here from the Boricua Fractalus, my personal blog where I talk about anything that doesn't necessarily have to do with the world of video games. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome. Today it's another weekly mailbag video, and for what I just picked up in the mail, something very special to me. Now, I've already expressed how much of a fan I am for the Mobile Police Pat Labor series, the OVA, the movies, the televised series, even the comics or the manga. But another OVA series that I have an affinity for is the Bubblegum Crisis series. It's a series that mixes a lot of different elements. It reeks of the 80s just right out the gate. When it comes to the music, the hairstyle, the way people dress in it, just the cityscapes, just all the artistic choices that they made. It's very much an 80s work. And I guess it's kind of like a time capsule for that era. And it's retro, and I have a taste for things that are retro, so that's one thing that makes me automatically gravitate toward it. But it takes a lot of elements from, I guess, the cyberpunk sci-fi action movies of old. Things like the Terminator, stuff like, actually a big inspiration for Bubblegum Crisis was Blade Runner, the Ridley Scott movie with Harrison Ford. And so why am I talking about Bubblegum Crisis? Well, my recent purchase on the interwebs was actually a production cell. And, well, here it is. I'll just show you this right here. This is a production cell of one of the main characters from the Bubblegum Crisis series, the original OVA. And specifically, this character is named Inspector Leon McNichol, and he's being seen at an angle, from a downward angle looking up. And you can see that this cell is very special for a couple of reasons. But before I state those reasons, I just want to kind of delineate between the two different sorts of cells. There are production animation cells, and this literally was used in creating an episode in the Bubblegum Crisis OVA. Like, this actual frame was used. Now, that's a production cell right here. There are such things called chroma cells. Chroma cells are specially crafted reproduction cells based on old production cells from a certain show. And I've actually gotten a couple of those from the Bubblegum Crisis series of Pris breaking out of her hard suit, wielding a knife and a gun, and those cells are actually made from the original production cell of that, I guess, depiction, but they're just reproductions. They're not the authentic thing. They weren't the actual cell used, of course, because there's multiples of them. And they're also done as collector's items. They have like a serial number attached to them and a little piece of paper, like a little letter of authenticity attached to them. You're not going to find that with production cells. Production cells, the way you can tell that they were actually used in a production is you'll see some stencil marks. Let's see if I can get this into frame. You'll see a stencil mark right here. Right here. That's a hole punch right there. And then the last one is right here. You can see right next to the 019. And those three holes and stencil marks, respectively, were put on the background as well as the cells to make sure that the orientation of the cell was correct before the photographing process is done and used to manipulate them to give the illusion of animation. And it's to make sure that, you know, the frame's not all wobbly and stuff like that, and all the different cells are oriented slightly differently. It's a way to make sure that there's some form of unison with all the cells and how they're oriented on the background. And speaking of the background, that's one thing that makes this particular animation production cell special. As you can see, it's a watercolor illustration that is behind this transparency. You can actually see the edges. You can see the edge right here of this cell, and then the other edge is right here. But behind it is a paper canvas specifically for facilitating the saturation of watercolors. And actually, you can even look on this edge right here, and you can actually see the little swatches of paint on this section. And the reason why it's not finished is because the photographing process does not capture this entire frame. It literally takes a snippet from this entire aspect ratio. So it might be a cutoff of a ½ inch to an inch. So you're not going to get this entire, you're not going to actually get this whiteness and this little jagged swatch edges of paint in the frame. You're more than likely just going to get, let's see if I can actually get this up on the camera so that way I can show you how this would be shot. That's how it would appear on the TV. So hopefully I might be able to match this particular cell with one of the episodes in the OVA. And I'm actually going to try to do that tomorrow. But yeah, this frame right here, this cell and this background actually made it into an OVA. That's actually pretty rare for you to get a background attached to your animation cell. You know, usually when you get an animation cell, first of all, they're extremely expensive. Second of all, they hardly ever come with an accompanying background. And, you know, you take what you can get when it comes to owning an animation production cell from one of your favorite cartoons or anime. I lucked out that I got both in one deal. And, sorry, my voice, I'm actually under the weather. I actually got this, when I say deal, I mean it was a steal. I got this for $9. That's not bad at all. And I don't think I paid for shipping whatsoever. And the guy specifically was like, oh, I'm sorry about the staples and stuff. It actually came into my possession that way. And I said to him, don't worry, I'll give it a good home and stuff. I'm not going to take the staples out because, I see that kind of as permanent. I didn't want to, potentially damage this shot by removing them. But, yeah, eventually I'm going to get this framed and I'm going to get this put on my wall. It's pretty fantastic. This is an awesome piece of history that is attached to one of the anime OVAs of old that I have lots of love for. And, yeah, I can't wait to proudly display this somewhere in my home. But yeah, this is usually the section of the video where I talk about where you can get one of your own, and unfortunately this is actually a one-of-a-kind work, so it's impossible for me to actually direct you to another one of this. But if you're looking for animation cells for your favorite anime or cartoon or whatever, that actually uses conventional cell shading and pigmentation for creating different frames of animation, all I can recommend is that, well, let me start with, I hope that you have an affinity for a piece of animation or a cartoon program or anime program that was never extremely popular or woefully underrated. Because if the show in question falls into one of those two categories, chances are you're going to be spending a lot on animation cells. For example, one end of the spectrum, popular anime. Try to look for an animation cell of Dragon Ball Z. They're expensive. They're extremely expensive. I think the cheapest animation cell that I found from Dragon Ball Z was $40. That was the cheapest. Now, one of the most expensive ones I saw was for an animation cell from the original Vampire Hunter D. Now, honestly, I love the movie Vampire Hunter D, but I don't love it enough to pay almost $1,000 for an animation cell of a character that isn't you know, D or any of the main protagonists of the movie, or even the main antagonist, Count, what's his name? Count Magnus Lee. You know, if it's not one of those characters, I'm not going to spend, what was the price that I saw? It was $8.99. It was $899 for the animation cell. Screw you, no thanks. Like, no way. But this, I don't know why, but this was extremely cheap, and I can only assume that as of recently, Bubblegum Crisis hasn't been that popular. I know it does have its fans, myself included, but I don't see a lot of people going crazy over it nowadays. And so I think popularity for the OVA, or I guess awareness for the OVA, has kind of waned in the past few years. So when somebody puts an animation cell for Bubblegum Crisis, it's not really that expensive. You know, not only did I buy this for really cheap, I also bought a couple of reproduction chroma cells of Pris breaking out of her hard suit for extremely cheap. One of the animation cells I paid, actually both of them I paid a single digit figure. I didn't pay any more than $10 for both of them, actually. So one's actually in the original packaging and one is in a protective case. So future weekly mailbag video on that whenever it comes in. But yeah, if you're looking for animation cells from your favorite anime, you know, I only hope that it's an anime that isn't stupid popular or stupid rare, because chances are you're going to have a hard time finding some, you know, good production cells that aren't going to, you know, cost you an arm and a leg. But all I can do is say that, you know, keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you know where the deals are, and stay vigilant about that stuff. There's no real need for anyone to, you know, give up their home to own an animation cell like this. But, you know, prices fluctuate and stuff, and yeah, just, you know, keep an open eye out for, you know, anything like a price drop or something like that. You never know what you're going to find. So, yeah, that's really my only advice. This is actually the first time I've actually bought a production cell from an anime, and it's kind of provoked me to, you know, kind of stay on the hunt for more animation cells. I've been looking for stuff from Mobile Suit Gundam and also Angel Cop. Angel Cop is another one. I really want to get an animation cell from that, just because it's so hard to find that movie in print nowadays. So I would at least like to have a memento of my childhood memories watching that show, being way too young to see the violence in it. But yeah, but that pretty much does it for my mailbag video of the AD Police or Bubblegum Crisis animation cell featuring Inspector Leon McNichol. So, yep, that was that. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I'm your host, John Rivera from the Boricua Fractalus, also of the Solid State Gamer, and I implore you guys to check out both of those websites if you have a fascination with video games or you're interested in stuff that might not necessarily have to do with video games, like, for example, anime. So, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.